So we shall now move on to our webinar with our first speaker, Professor of Ophthalmology in Cornea, Lens and Refractive Surgery Services at RP Center, Professor Dr. Rajesh Sinha, who's also the Honorary Treasurer of AIOS for the second term, a very experienced surgeon from RP Center of great repute, who's actually going to teach us some pearls. So let us hear from him.
Thank you, Dr. Chitra, for the opportunity. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Since the session is really interesting, it has been made the problems, the difficult situations in refractive procedure, and many times we face such difficulties. And one of these difficulties is suction loss in SMILE, which can happen with the best of intentions, because majority of cases it happens because of the patient becoming uncooperative with eye rotation and eyelid squeezing, sudden head movement, etc. And of course, conjunctival chemosis also can be a risk factor. Now, if it happens, then it depends on at what stage it has happened. And it can happen at various stages. It can happen at the lenticule stage. It can happen at other stage as well, flap cut stage as well, cap cut stage as well. So in this case, this patient was a little uncooperative, a little apprehensive, and it was difficult for me to put the suction cone initially also. And then as the lenticule cut was done and as we started the cap cut, the patient was putting a lot of force, squeezing and all that, and suddenly the suction loss was there. Now, the suction loss happened at this stage. The lenticule cut and side cut was completed, and the cap cut was only 2.39 millimeters, and the side cut was not started. The restart treatment module of VISUMAX is a wonderful thing. It provides the retreatment recommendation. I'm sorry for this N which is left there. It gives you the recommendation how to go ahead. And if there is a suction loss at the stage of cap cut, then you can very well go ahead with the SMILE procedure itself. You just have to redock it. And what we have to do in redocking is that you have to maintain the centration. That is very important. So in this case, again, the patient was not cooperative. So that's what I'm trying to show, that if the centration is not good, then you should not put the suction cone. Centration can be maintained, can be achieved by taking help of the bubble layer. And as you can see here, that this should be the area of centration. So once again, it is being tried, and now we are close to the center of this. And once the centration is achieved, you should go ahead and complete the SMILE procedure. In spite of doing it, a little bit of a few microns here and there can still be there when you have a case of suction loss. But if the centration is proper, you can complete the SMILE procedure. As in this case, the redocking was done using the VISUMAX restart module, and then the centration was maintained, and the SMILE could be completed. So various stages of the flap, the lenticule dissection is being shown. So in such cases, if you have as earlier we used to feel that if there is a problem in the if there is a suction loss in SMILE, then most of the times we used to think that we may have to go for a surface ablation or a LASIK procedure, flap based procedure. But now with this restart module, we can complete the SMILE procedure, except in situation wherein it's lenticule, the suction loss is done at the lenticule cut stage only. And when the lenticule cut has progressed beyond 10%, in that case, again, the restart module itself goes into the flap module, and have to handle it accordingly. So this, we could achieve a nice lenticule which was dissected and removed out, and the SMILE could be completed. The procedure could be completed. So that's the end of the procedure. So thank you very much for your patient listening. Thank you very much. I'll just unshare my slide.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rajesh Sinha. That was one very wonderful, thorough description of how we deal with suction loss. I suppose we all have to also keep in mind that if you decrease the spot size and end up prolonging the treatment to sustain patient attention for so long could become troublesome. So we should not play around with that spot size when you have challenges with the energy setting. And of course, if you continue to allow the laser to move after suction loss, it can just continue cutting through and you could have a sliver of tissue, which has to be kept in mind. You have already explained to us about some of the precautions we take when we have to applanate again and again. But I think we need to mention that we need to keep cleaning the undersurface of the cone. But if there are droplets on the cone we apply, it can become difficult. So what are some of the problems which you would anticipate intra or if you had a case of suction loss?
See, if there is a suction loss, I mean, currently there is a restart module that is there in Visomax. So that helps you to know what you have to do, whether you have to go for a flap or you have to continue with the smile. Now, if the suction loss is at the level of the lenticule cut when it has advanced beyond 10%, then it automatically goes for the flap module. Now, if it goes to the flap module, we should the largest diameter as far as possible. So when you are using a small pack, the largest diameter possible for the flap is 7.9 millimeter. And with a little bit of oversizing by, entering small and entering medium and using the small, we can go up to 8.1. This is what they recommend. So in such cases, we can do a flap and go ahead and do convert it into a flap-based procedure. Now, if we are continuing with the smile at various stages when we are doing it, then if we are continuing with the smile, then one thing is very important, that is to maintain the centration. And centration can be very nicely achieved by taking help of the bubble layer. So by looking at the bubble layer, you can maintain a proper centration and go ahead and complete the smile. If the suction loss is at a later level, like the side cut level or the incision level, then in that case, we may have to reduce the size of the, increase the thickness of the cut by 10 microns and reduce the size of the diameter by 0.2 millimeters. So these are some of the things that we have to, understand when we are either completing a smile or we are converting into a flap. What is most important is centration, because if the centration is not there, then in that case, you may have some interfaces. And then in that case, the patient, a few microns here and there, interface is there, you may still break manually with the spatula, but post-operatively, the surface will be slightly irregular and the patient may have a poor quality of vision. That is very important.
Yeah, and so it's very important to see that it overlays the same OBL. And of course, we should anticipate a tougher dissection. And if it's a decentered ablation, we should abort it and a tougher dissection. And this is where you could rarely end up with having remnants of lenticule being left. So we need to actually spread it on and check. So on to expert panel, Dr. Mahipal, do you have anything to add at this point which we could have missed out?
So I think the machine actually has the safety measures which are there. So what you were saying, that if the suction is lost and you continue cutting, I don't think that is possible, because the point is, once the suction is lost, the machine stops. So it's not that you can actually keep on cutting and with a suction loss. So the machine has these safety features where it will automatically stop. The second thing which is that, again, there is a prompt by the machine, as Rajesh said, that at what stage you have lost. So it's only if you start at and you are less than 10% of the first cut that you can restart. But if after more than 10% and before the side cut of the first side cut of the lenticule that happens, if it is lost at that time, you have to convert it into a flap. So that is again something that is dictated by the machine, that is where you have to. So I don't know, Rajesh, how would you play with the diameter of the lenticule, because it won't allow you to cut if you have made a side cut before the side cut has been made at that particular point. The other thing is that making a flap at the same time is very easy. And the next thing is that you can easily do a surface ablation also at the same time. So overall, the biggest advantage of any femto procedure or a smile procedure is that even if you abort the procedure, you can actually go ahead and complete the procedure on the same day, which is not there for you in case you are working with a blade keratome. So that is the biggest advantage, that a femto laser is far, far more forgiving than a blade this thing. Regarding the quality of vision or the improvement of vision, etc., that higher order aberrations, etc., there are several studies which go this way, that way, that may or may not be the issue, but the safety factor is the most important thing that you have. You don't get free flaps, you don't get flaps which are ragged, etc., and you can easily abort the procedure if you feel that the femto pass has not gone on well. So that is what it is, and majority of the patients have gravitated, at least in big metros, towards a femto procedure, whether it's a smile procedure or a blade-free LASIK. And majority of us who are sitting here, Dr. Ramamurthy, Shri Ganesh, and Dr. Tityal, etc., I think more than 80 to 90% of our patients are going in for the smile procedure, except where you don't have a hyperopic correction, which is there as things stand, or for an enhancement, or if you are dealing with very thin corneas, etc. So that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
No, no.
Actually, when supposing you're at the incision level and
Yeah.
there's a suction loss and the conjunctiva comes in, the incision doesn't get made. So even though the suction loss has occurred, but if you don't take your foot off the pedal, it moves on and the incision doesn't get made.
No, incision doesn't get made, but you don't cut at a wrong point. That's the, see, the point is whenever you are getting a boggy conjunctiva, you have to actually anticipate. It's only by practice that you know that if there is some bogginess coming, whether you are going to lose the suction or whether you are going to get a boggy conjunctiva at the point of the incision or not. So that is something, because if you are getting that at that particular time, that's going to be a confusion, because if you keep pressing the situation, the foot switch, which is obviously under your control. The important thing here is that at what stage have you lost that particular thing? The incision, it becomes very difficult if you have lost, but you can get part of the incision, etc. So that you have to see as to where you are, how much you can open, and even I think Shiri has shown one video in various this thing where it was much smaller than even 2 millimeters. I think the machine doesn't allow below 2 millimeters, but below 2 millimeters you can go ahead and do that. But the machine, if the suction is lost totally, what you are talking about is that the machine has not identified a suction loss. That means because the conj is coming over, it's boggy and there is still a suction, but the point is that the conjunctiva is coming, so that way it will keep continuing. But the moment the machine kind of finds out that there is a suction loss or the suction is lost, it will stop immediately, irrespective of what stage you are.
Anyone has anything to add before we go on to
Regarding the centration, see, normally once you achieve a good suction, then, and if you have suction loss and the second time you are again putting on the suction, then the eye kind of mounts and then the centration automatically happens to when you had the first suction on, because there is an imprint on the limbus which kind of automatically finds the centration. So you would have seen this also. Sometimes you are a little decentered, you want to release the suction and redock, but again it finds the same place. So if the suction loss occurs and then that imprint is still there, and then you go in for a second suction, then you automatically get centered. So it's not a big issue. And then you can look at the reticule also and see that the whatever bubble layer you have is centered to the center of the reticule, and then you put the suction on.
So I think even the newer generation machines, that you might be aware, or the other companies that are coming out, one of the features that is there is that you should be able to center.
Yes,
all the new research or everything that is coming is that even after docking, if you want to change the centration which you feel is off center, then you can do that. So, and also the cyclotorsion compensation. So these are two fallacies just now that is there in the present machine, which I think the newer generation or the newer companies will take care of.
You can't really change the centration after suction. Yeah. See, cyclotorsion compensation is coming in, but you cannot change the centration because of the curved interface. If you have a flat interface like the intralace, then you can actually move the centration
so that's what
to some extent.
Other companies are coming out with a flat interface, and there you can work just like the intralace.
But a curved interface like the Visumax is basically difficult because it changes the configuration of the lenticule.
Yeah.
Let me make one point, what Dr. Rajesh showed, very nice video. But if you clearly see that we did have a fluid, in the interface there. And we have talked about this for our people who are beginning with this procedure. The conjunctival sac should be absolutely dry, that you have to make sure there's no fluid collection. And though cornea should be moist. So that is important here. And in that video, you could see there's a fluid coming all around. In such cases, better to wait and redo the thing, and make the sac totally dry. That will save the, suction loss happening in these cases. Another important thing, what we all do is very nicely, you have to counsel the patient, tell him or tell her what are the steps going to happen. Especially most of the suction loss do happen during the stage when the green light goes off after we make the lenticule. That is the time patient becomes little apprehensive. If we tell them that is going to take another just 10-15 seconds, they still will cooperate. So I think patient counseling and making the conjunctival sac dry is very important aspect, and proper selection of cone is also important, contact lens. Sometimes you may have a smaller wide to wide, you have taken a larger cone, which is not for us, but other areas that can happen also. I think in Rajesh's video, it was very clear that a lot of fluid, even the second time you put, there is still a fluid in the between the contact lens and surface. So that can cause very light suction and you can get released.
Just to reiterate what Dr. Titial just now mentioned, it's extremely important that you have a moist cornea. That's what gives you the appropriate dissection on the bubble layer. But at the same time, you want the conjunctival sac to be dry. So as a practical point, what I do is when just about 5 to 7 millimeters before docking, I don't even allow the nurse to do it. I put 2 or 3 drops of saline on the cornea, so that the cornea is moist, and ask the patient to look down and wipe the upper conjunctiva and ask him to look up and wipe the lower fornix. So the conjunctival sac is dry, but the cornea is moist, and immediately dock. And in case I'm not able to do it, sometimes if you have dry spots, then the laser firing is not good. The other factor is, as Sri was mentioning, in case you have a suction loss, the bubble layer acts as your major guidance as far as the centration is concerned. So you don't really wait for long. Go ahead and dock. And as was mentioned, the machine itself offers you a guide as to how to go ahead and dock as quickly as possible, and use the infrared monitor to ensure that the centration of the pupil is good. So the bubble layer and the pupil, which is being not seen clearly because of bubbles, but you can see it on the infrared monitor. Put together, you can ensure that you start from where you left off and complete the treatment. And I think it's something which is, the self-guidance is something which is inbuilt in this machine, and that enables us to complete the treatment in most cases.
So
Just one more point. See, the thing is, once the central bubble is there, then the patient cannot look at the green light. So when you're docking, there will be a little bit of difficulty if the patient keeps on searching for the green light. So what you can do is the central area, you can just massage it gently so that the bubbles kind of go to the side and the central cornea becomes clear. From the surface, you can just massage it gently and then move the bubble to a side so that the central cornea becomes clearer. The patient is able to see the green light so that they're able to fix. Otherwise, they keep moving and then it's difficult for you to do a redock.
Very valid point, Dr. Sri Ganesh. Thanks a lot, Rajesh. That was a great discussion with the experts.